In a quiet village nestled between fields of golden wheat and tall mango groves, life moved slowly, gently and predictably. The villagers woke with the rising sun, worked till dusk, and gathered each evening under the banyan tree where the elders talked and children played. Everyone knew everyone, and though small quarrels arose from time to time, they were always settled by the Panchayat, the council of 5 wise men chosen by the people's trust. For many years the Panchayat had served the village fairly. Its decisions were respected like the voice of truth itself. But one year, an incident occurred that deeply tested both the Panchayat and the people. It began on an ordinary morning when 2 neighbors, Hari and Mohan, became entangled in a dispute that grew so large it threatened to divide the entire village. Hari and Mohan had been friends since childhood. They had gone to school together, shared mangoes from the same trees, and even stood shoulder to shoulder during harvest seasons. But as they grew older, the responsibilities of life separated them. They inherited lands from their fathers, fields that lay side by side, and this closeness of property soon became the source of trouble. One night after a heavy monsoon rain, a narrow mud embankment that divided their fields collapsed. When the water dried, the boundary between the 2 farms became unclear. Mohan claimed that a strip of land on the left belonged to him. Hari insisted it had always been part of his family's farm. Their arguments grew heated, voices rose. Other villagers gathered, forming groups that began to take sides. The next day, Mohan arrived at the disputed land with 2 laborers and plowed the strip. This enraged Hari, who stormed out of his house with his eldest son, insisting that Mohan had stolen his land. The quarrel became loud enough to echo through the village. Children stopped playing. Women peered from verandas. Elders frowned, shaking their heads. Finally, someone said the only words that could restore order: "Let the Panchayat decide." The villagers agreed. Both Hari and Mohan were called to appear before the council the following morning. That night, however, neither man slept peacefully. Hari paced in his courtyard, muttering that truth was on his side. Mohan sat under the neem tree outside his house, whispering prayers and telling his wife that justice would prevail. Little did they know the Panchayat's decision would test more than their ownership. It would test their character. When the morning sun rose, casting long shadows across the village, a crowd had already gathered around the ancient banyan tree where the Panchayat held its meetings. The 5 elders sat on a raised platform made of stone. At the center sat the head of the Panchayat, old Raghavan, a man whose hair was as white as the temple's marble pillars, but whose mind was sharp and fair. "Bring Hari. Bring Mohan," he said calmly, tapping his walking stick on the ground. The 2 men came forward and folded their hands respectfully, but neither looked at the other. The air grew tense. Raghavan cleared his throat. "We have heard rumors of a dispute between you. Before we listen to your claims, remember, this Panchayat seeks truth, not victory. Speak honestly." Mohan spoke first. He bowed and said, "Respected elders, the strip of land in question has always been mine. My father showed it to me many times. The rains washed the boundary, but the memory of the land remains." Hari shook his head vigorously. "Elders, I respect Mohan, but he is mistaken. My father and his father had settled this boundary long ago. Everyone in the village knows that strip belongs to me." Voices rose from the crowd. Some villagers nodded in agreement with Hari. Others supported Mohan. Raghavan raised his hand to silence them. "You both claim the land. But we cannot go by words alone," he said. "We will think on this matter and give our decision at sunset." But as the elders retired to discuss the issue, an unexpected twist came into play. Mohan, worried that the decision might go against him, went to Raghavan's house secretly that afternoon. He took with him a small pouch of gold coins, his savings from years of selling milk from his buffaloes. He entered the courtyard timidly, where Raghavan's young grandson was playing with a wooden cart. When Raghavan came out, Mohan bowed deeply and said, "Respected elder, I bring a gift for you. But please accept it as a token of my respect." He extended the pouch. Raghavan frowned. "Why are you giving me this?" Mohan hesitated, then whispered, "It is only a humble offering. I hope the Panchayat will be kind while giving its decision." Raghavan's eyes flashed with anger. He pushed the pouch back and said, "Mohan, the Panchayat cannot be bought. Leave at once before you insult justice any further." Red-faced and trembling, Mohan hurried away. But unknown to both of them, Raghavan's grandson, little Keshav, had seen and heard everything. He did not understand bribery, but he sensed something wrong. He stayed silent, though the scene stayed in his young mind like a troubling image. Evening came. The sun sank behind the sugarcane fields and the sky turned orange. Villagers gathered once again under the banyan tree. Hari and Mohan stood before the council, tense and restless. Raghavan rose slowly. Any dispute over land is no small matter. Land feeds us. Land shelters our families. But land is not worth breaking friendship or dividing a village. Thus we have reached a decision. The crowd leaned forward. The Panchayat has decided that the disputed strip of land. Before he could finish, little Keshav ran forward and tugged at his grandfather's dhoti. Dadaji, Dadaji, why did Mohan uncle give you a pouch today? Why did you get angry and send him away? A hush fell over the entire gathering. Mohan's face turned pale. Hari stared at him in shock. The elders looked at each other, stunned. Raghavan closed his eyes for a moment. He had not intended to reveal the incident publicly, but now there was no choice. He placed a hand on Keshav's head and said softly, "Go home, child." The villagers whispered. Suspicion thickened the air. Raghavan straightened his back and spoke loudly so all could hear. "Yes, Mohan came to my house. He offered me gold so the decision might favor him." Gasps erupted. Mohan fell to his knees. "Forgive me, I was afraid of losing the land. I made a mistake." Hari's face darkened. "So this is why you fought. You wanted to cheat me." Raghavan raised his hand. He looked at Mohan with disappointment. "You have not only insulted this Panchayat, but also attempted to corrupt justice. Yet it is not my place to punish you. The villagers must hear the full truth." Then he turned to Hari. "But remember, Hari, the wrongdoing of one does not automatically make the other right." He paused, letting the crowd settle. "This dispute began because a boundary was washed away. Your fathers may have known where it lay, but memory fades and the land cannot speak for itself. Neither of you has strong proof. But we do have one guide, what is best for the village." The villagers waited anxiously. "The disputed strip of land," Raghavan said slowly, "shall be divided equally between the two of you. Both will share the harvest from it. Neither will claim full ownership." Hari opened his mouth in disbelief. "But elder," Raghavan raised a finger. "Listen. You both fought, both accused, both allowed anger to cloud your minds. A shared land will remind you that the village thrives only when neighbors cooperate. Consider it a lesson, not a punishment." The crowd murmured. Some praised the judgment. Others exchanged confused glances. But the authority of the Panchayat was final. Hari bowed reluctantly. Mohan bowed too, tears of shame rolling down his cheek. But Raghavan wasn't finished. He turned to Mohan. "Your attempt to bribe must be addressed. You will not be punished today because punishment alone does not make a man better. Instead, you shall serve the village for 1 full month. You will clean the well, repair the pathways, and help the school teacher with supplies. Let your service be a repentance." Mohan wiped his tears. "I accept. I am deeply ashamed." The decision was done. The Panchayat dismissed everyone and slowly the crowd dispersed. But the incident lingered in their minds like a lesson etched in stone. That night, Mohan could not sleep. His wife sat beside him and whispered gently, "A mistake is only a mistake until you correct it. The Panchayat has given you a chance. Make the most of it." Mohan nodded. The next morning, he began his month of service. At first, some villagers avoided him, whispering behind his back. But as days passed, people noticed the sincerity of his efforts. He carried buckets of water to the school, repaired the broken mud road leading to the temple, and planted new saplings around the village pond. His hands blistered, but his heart slowly healed. The shared plot of land forced him and Mohan to work side by side. On the first few days they barely spoke, but slowly silence softened into necessity. One afternoon, while checking the soil, Hari said quietly, "We must sow the seeds before next week. The rains will be strong." Mohan nodded. "I agree. I will bring the tools tomorrow." Though brief, this exchange marked the beginning of reconciliation. As the days went by, the two men realized working together made the tasks easier. They began to discuss the best crops, share water during shortages, and even exchange food during lunch breaks. One day Mohan brought a pot of sweet rice pudding his wife had prepared. He hesitated before offering it. "Hari, please take some." Hari looked at the pot, then at Mohan, and nodded slowly. Thank you. That simple gesture broke the last wall between them. When the crop grew a few months later, the shared land bore the healthiest harvest in the entire village. The stalks swayed proudly in the wind, a testament to cooperation born out of conflict. The villagers admired the change. Children played freely near the fields again. Women smiled and chatted as they fetched water. The tension that had once wrapped around the village like a dark cloud was gone. One evening, during a village gathering, Hari stood up unexpectedly. His voice trembled slightly, but it carried strength. "The villagers, I want to say something. Mohan and I allowed a small piece of land to blind us, but the Panchayat opened our eyes. Today we harvest not only grains, but also peace." Mohan stood beside him, adding, "I was the one who sinned. I tried to influence justice, but this village's faith brought me back. I am grateful." The villagers applauded. Some elders had tears in their eyes. Raghavan nodded in satisfaction. "Remember this," he said. "Justice is not merely about deciding right or wrong. It is about restoring harmony. Land comes and goes, but unity must remain." As the seasons changed, the village moved forward peacefully. Hari and Mohan became closer than before, often helping each other even outside the shared land. The story of their dispute and the Panchayat's decision became famous not only in their own village, but in neighboring ones as well. Years later, when Raghavan stepped down from the Panchayat due to old age, the villagers asked him who should become the next head. He pointed to neither a wealthy landowner nor a powerful farmer. Instead, he pointed to Hari and Mohan. "Either of them can lead," he said, "for they have learned through experience that justice begins in the heart." The villagers murmured in approval. Eventually, Mohan was chosen to join the Panchayat, and Hari became one of the most respected elders of the village. Their children played together as freely as they once had when young. Whenever newcomers asked about the fields divided by a narrow strip of stones, the villagers would smile and say, "Ah, that is where two friends learned the greatest lesson of life, the lesson of justice and unity." And so the decision of the Panchayat became a story told for generations. It taught people that truth must stand unbought, that mistakes can be corrected with sincerity, and that peace is built not on winning, but on understanding. The banyan tree still stood tall, its roots deep in the earth, its branches touching the sky, just like the values of the village. And whenever disputes arose, villagers remembered the wise decision that had once transformed a quarrel into friendship. Justice, after all, was not merely the voice of the elders, it was the soul of the community, and that soul remained strong.